Well, story time. If you were alive and old enough, you remember where you were on 9/11/2001. I was working an economic development project with a Lockwood Greene colleague in New Zealand. This is my story, 9/11 remembered. 2:45 a.m. in Napier, New Zealand. I'm watching CNN International, waiting on my spouse to get to work at 9 a.m. Eastern Time so I can call her in Atlanta. The announcement of the first plane crash into the tower comes on, and CNN New York staff rushes to the roof. The rooftop camera focuses on the tower with smoke pouring from the building. The reporters express their horror at the accident. While I watch, I call my wife. She answers and I ask if she knew what was happening. As I describe the scene, 8,000 miles away, I see the second plane hit. I gasp, a second plane just hit the other tower. This is no accident. This is terrorism. We talked for a few more minutes. Then she said they had a TV on. I said goodbye and immediately called my Lockwood Greene colleague, Robert Pittman, waking him from his sleep. I told him to turn on CNN. He did, and we talked for a few minutes, totally in disbelief and shock. I remained awake, glued to the TV throughout the night. I saw firsthand the towers collapse, reports on the Pentagon and Pennsylvania crashes, as well as George W. Bush struck dumb in a Florida elementary school classroom. When morning arrived, Robert and I had a meeting scheduled for 9 a.m. with the mayor of Napier. As we sat in his office talking about the events of the night, the phone rang. It was the local Episcopal priest calling to ask the mayor if he was aware of any Americans in Napier at the time. The mayor responded that, as a matter of fact, he had 2 Americans in his office as he spoke. The priest said that the 3 Christian churches were joining with a local temple and mosque for a candlelight memorial service and a solidarity meeting on Wednesday evening, and we're looking for Americans who would participate. The mayor put the phone on speaker. Robert said he would come but did not wish to take an active role. The mayor turned to me with an imploring look, and I reluctantly said I would represent America in the service. It was a highly moving service. An American couple on vacation and I were asked to say a few words and light the initial candles. About 200 people of all faiths were present. The newspaper published a detailed account. Robert and I were scheduled to stay a couple of more weeks, but I felt compelled to return home. I took the first flight from New Zealand into LAX, leaving the following Saturday. I spent 14 hours chain-smoking camels and pacing the international terminal of Auckland Airport, with the flight being delayed every 30 minutes. We finally took off and landed in the middle of the night at LAX, along with dozens of other quote-unquote first international flights, all lined up at a distance from the terminal. No planes were allowed at the gate. We disembarked on portable stairs and were told to find our luggage and get in line. It took a couple hours to clear customs, and I missed my flight to Atlanta. The airline offered to put us up in a hotel, but it was an hour's drive away, and my new flight was scheduled for 9 a.m. I decided to walk from the LAX International Terminal to the domestic terminal and take my chances. No one was there except for a handful of Delta agents. They told me a plane was leaving then and got me on it. 15 minutes, comped me a first-class seat. I boarded the plane, observing there were no more than a half a dozen other passengers, collapsed into my seat and immediately fell asleep for the first time in 2 days. It was a grueling trip, taking more than 56 hours door to door from Napier, New Zealand to Atlanta, Georgia. It seems like yesterday. Thank you.